also the grand sheet here, Temple 71. Brother P. Chase here. Toronto, national, state, and local officials of the North Scientific Market Corporation. Remind to the Grand Governor of Washington, D.C. For the H. Hearns Bank. And to the assistant. Sister D. Jones Bank. Remind to all chiefs, and members of the North Scientific Market Corporation. Remind to all auxiliaries. Remind profile flags. American flag. Flag our birth. Morse flag. Flag our descent. Red flag. 5 point green star in the center. 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Remind you everything is proper port and taught with an uplift and falling man. Remind each and every one of you. Peace. This time I'll read from Salvation Now, God, Jersey, More Scientific of America, Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Chief, the Chairman, and the More Scientific of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the proper and the grand body of the More Scientific of America. The Assistant Grand Chief is to assist the Grand Chief in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known for the members of the More Scientific of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open from the conference according to the service level of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Fridays are holy day of rest. But on Friday, first man performed in flesh, and on Friday, first man departed out of flesh, and the citizen shows Bible God of God. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the More Scientific of America. No members who put danger to false brother or sister on any occasion at all, and we harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must observe these holy and divine laws. All members must obey the laws of the government. Because by being a Morse American, you are a part of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization, the More Scientific America, is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of these said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must claim their nationality. We are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. They may know that they are a part and a portion of this said government, know that they are not. Negroes, colored folks, black people, Ethiopians. But these things were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. This is the newer time now. All men now must proclaim their great national name to be recognized by the government which they live in the nations of the earth. This is due to Allah, the great God of the universe, today we know who God in the crop, to redeem the people from their simple ways. Most murderers are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, who inhabit the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must not attend a meeting in the country hard and impartial all of this national and More Scientific of America. Members must pay their dues, keep in line with all necessities of the More Scientific of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faith. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband. Take care of your children, and look after you if you have so. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious to become hard and uplift and follow man. All Morse America will keep their hearts, their minds, spirit, love, and body and people. This is going to come from the Holy Prophet known through our lead, and guidance, the Father, love. Known through our lead, found Morse American prayer. God, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. God is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, through our lead. Amen. More Scientific America, mailing address, P.O. Box 388, 7600, Woman Drive, Greenbelt, Maryland, 20768. We just had a read from the unconstitutional bylaws and tithes. Then we'll have a reading from questionnaire, and this is all for the North American Laptop. Act 1. Grand sheets and governments, here's for all times, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the proper number of law legal. Or acted upon by any member, that it be financed properly, or any line likely to cause the member to sacrifice finance etc. It will cause support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subjected to be removed from his office under heavy restriction, etc. by the proper or the grand sheet. Act 2. All members are to attend their adapt meetings and public meetings promptly. Members found standing around the meeting period shall be fined 50 cents on the first case. On the second, you will be fined $1, which will be your emergency fine. Remember the first, his money due must be paid. If he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for the materials aid and more subscription fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. His law when divine due to every good member. He is able in finance to aid me and save the nation. If he does not, he is the enemy because of his own people. Justice must catch him. Let it be he or she, according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, do not use any assertion against the American flag or speak rap, church, any member or any organized group. We are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend the meeting and send their children to Sunday school. The teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and that every member exercise his ability to do so. The outcome of the Sunday school becomes the habits of the nation. Act 6. Purpose. All members must proclaim their nationality. We are teaching how to keep their nationality and their divine creed. They may know that they are a part of this same government, know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians. Because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a newer time now. And all men now must proclaim their free national name, be recognized by the government, and we involve our great God of the universe, for they know you are either prophet and give the people from the simple ways. Most murder, I descend, and the more by who inhabit the northwestern, southwestern shores of Africa. And 7. All members must not pretend to meet and become a part and a partial of all of the natural and more science temples. Members must take a duty to keep an eye on the necessities of the more science temples. Then you are inhabited in the name of faith. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband. Take care of your children, but that's due to the household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother, and death becomes the power and uplifting form in man. All more Americans keep their hearts and minds filled with love, bodies and with love. Find couple, who is prophet known through our leader, guidance, Father, God, and God. Peace.
Peace.
This time around, we're going to hold around the war sign, take on the American Circle 7, defined and prepared by the noble prophet through our leader. By the guidance of Father, God, and God. Great God, the universe, the peace of man. Simple, for save the man. Act, and fight. Father, God, and God. I'll read from page, which is book page 35. Line instruction from the Holy Prophet. Chapter 25. Holy Covenant, the age of Our reading time. Ye are the children of one crop, God provides care, and thus will know that you be so. Let bonds of affection therefore make you with their brothers. The decent habits may dwell in your father's house, and he shall grace the world. Remember the relation of mine which you have learned, and the word now is strength before their own blood. The brothers and the birth of your sister, the sisters and brothers of the sacred name. So shall the fortune of your father continue to support his whole race, which can be continued to you all in the love to each other. Anybody downstairs? I'm here. Yes, sir. Let him out. Law. This I'd like to take a moment of silence. Raise our thoughts up. Good. You open for it. Bless now our blessed day. So this information will be coming through. We might be to each other what we, our portion of understanding. See what we go from there. Praise God. We start now. So, without further delay, we'll call our instructor. Our Sunday school Koran class. Our grand sheet moderator and more scientific Quran. The large on the day. Praise God. Islam.
Islam.
Allah, the Father
of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Thou art my protector, thy guide, and my salvation. Thy night and hell I am, through his holy rock, to allow me. Amen.
Who made it?
Allah,
Who is Allah?
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Can we see him?
No.
Where's the nearest place we can meet him?
In Allah.
What was the answer that the Lord self gave to the higher self?
Where are you going to?
What was the answer that the Lord self gave to the higher self?
I am going to a Florida seeking my maker out.
When was his time declared out?
When he nailed Jesus on the cross.
What is the name of the person to whom Jesus was first reincarnated? Are the Moorish Americans in any relation to those angels?
Yes, we all have the same Father and Mother.
What is the devil sometimes called?
The old self.
How many cells are there?
Two.
What is the higher self?
I said, Mother, virtue of honor, right. We reach justice, mercy, love, right.
What does the Lord self breathe?
It expand the blues, mercy, theft, and harm.
What other name do we give the truth?
Over.
What other name do we give the truth?
Over.
At what place on earth was the Father man born?
God lead.
At what place on earth was the physical part of man formed?
In the Garden of Eden.
Where is the Garden of Eden?
In the land and the city of God.
What is the everlasting gospel?
The saving power from the law, and the Father, God's prophet.
What are angels used
Carry a message to the foremost of the world of all nations.
for? Why did Allah send Jesus to this earth?
Save the Israelites from the iron and wrestling of the Palestinian nation of Europe, who were held in the portion outside of their time.
What is our religion?
Islam is
Is that a new or is that the old time religion?
old time religion.
Okay, what do you think? I switched up. Usually we do it in sequence. Why do you think I switched up?
Islam. The secret we call marriage by.
That's one reason. Yes, that's true. Why else? Why else do you think I switched up? Why do you think, well, maybe switch up. Right. Well, why do you think that I altered the direction? Come on, y'all.
Said it was study. Said it was practice.
That's good. That's good. Sister,
For engagement.
for engagement. Okay. All right. What else? Come on. What permanent?
Put remembrance to the age.
Remember, yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Come on.
Be permanent in your actions. What you say. In other words, that truth don't change. Truth don't change.
Lord, don't change. You're right. Come on, Mom. Come on, Brother Bunchbag.
Said the truth revealed itself.
Yeah, the truth reveals itself. Okay. All right. All right. Oh, it's not.
I said engagement because sometimes you end up being in autopilot. So,
Yeah.
but it still keeps us in harmony if you're able to realize that you're on autopilot and just saying it versus having an intention
That's
to
right.
know what's going on.
That's right.
That's
That's kind of what you on autopilot. That's right. What you gonna say, Brother Cynthia?
Sometimes the lesson comes, and it might not come the way we expect it. So, however the lesson comes, we have to be on guard and ready.
Right. Right. And it is not also true that you can become so comfortable that you expected to do a certain thing at a certain time all the time. And so what does that prevent you from doing? Getting comfortable. It forgets getting comfortable. And it also makes you what?
Stagnant.
Makes
Complacent.
you what?
Stagnant.
Stagnant, that's right. It makes you, another word for stagnation is you become lazy.
Better.
Because you just know that it's going to go the way it always goes. And then when that doesn't go that way, what happens to you? You get through all. Well, don't you think the Lord's help will do the same thing to you? Things can be going so nice that you fail to remember that you got one. And then when it switch up on you, it catches you up. You're not prepared to deal with it. And when you're not prepared to deal with it, that makes you what?
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable. That's a good word. It makes you vulnerable for what? What does it make you vulnerable for? It does make you vulnerable. That is the lower self that's causing you to become vulnerable. But what does that make you vulnerable for? Mistakes. It does. But before the mistake comes in, it makes you vulnerable for what? It does affect your thinking. It does. But it also makes you vulnerable for being, you are susceptible to suggestion.
And what about sinful acts?
Well, that's going to follow. Because your lower self can prompt, your lower self will start to make it appealing. You become appealing to suggestion. Because right now, I'm off balance anyway.
I'm scrambling.
So really, it's the lower self testing your spirit.
I'll say, okay, if you want to use the
Testing
word
your
test, that's
spirit.
fine. If you want to use the word test, that's fine.
But
You know what that is?
You
You know what that is? It's you testing yourself.
Well, how would I know I'm testing myself if I'm not experienced with the knowledge that I'm getting in?
Well, that's the whole purpose. How do you go strong? How do you develop? How is thought developed? By what? Exercise. So that's exercise. You're in the gym. You're exercising. You challenge you. You are your opposition to yourself. You understand?
Yeah.
You challenge yourself.
Well, you can look at it like that, but it's the same token. Still gonna move through the game.
Come on,
Let's
Mom.
talk about Rashi. So when you function in your lower self, sin is inevitable.
It is. Because what is the result of it? What is the result? If you're functioning in your lower self is the effect. What is the effect from your lower self? I'm sorry. Yeah, your lower self is the cause. What is the effect from the cause? Remember, we talk about cause and effect. If there's a cause, there has to be what? An effect. So that means if you're functioning in your lower self, what is the effect? Hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, or everything at all. That's the result.
So you look for him. He's always there.
So if that's the result, that means what happens when you fail to guard yourself at all times against you? What happens? What takes place? It makes you what? She said the word. What? Vulnerable. You've already escaped.
So at that point, you're trying to make a speedy reparation.
If you can. See, you can get so deep into it that you fail to make that reparation. Because you can get so involved in that pursuit that you don't even think you need to make a reparation.
And speaking of this reparation, that's why I think you emphasize speed.
That's right.
Because you can't procrastinate.
No, you can't procrastinate.
Or let it drag on.
That's right.
It must be swift.
That's right. Because the longer it drags on, what happens? It grows stronger. And you start to do what? You start to feed it. The nourishment that causes it to go stronger.
Instability.
It is instability. First of all, instability was one of the contributors to opening the door. See, it was something that allowed you to open that door, to allow it to have the influence that it has. It had to come from somewhere. What did I do? What did I not do to allow this to happen to me? How did I allow this to take place with me? What door did you leave open? What did you not see that should have been seen by you if you were what? On God.
So we being tested all our life.
So what made me not be on guard against it? Huh? Yeah, comfortability. Which caused me to neglect my what? Present concern. My present concern was neglected because I became comfortable, thinking that I got it. Because we go over it all the time. I'll go back to the question here. We go over it all the time, and I'm comfortable with it. I got it. But that saying that can cause you to get caught up and miss it.
Your present concern is all the time.
See what?
Your present concern is all the time.
All the time. But now, are you concerned with your present concern all the time? Because to be concerned all the time, that means you must be what?
Conscious. See, being on guard is being conscious. Yet there are moments when we become unconscious.
He'll say comfortable. We have
And overconfident.
a tendency to let it down at that time.
Yes, we do. Because we think it's going to happen like the way it always happens. It's going to take place the way it always takes place. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Come on with it. And then what happens? It switches up. Now, I missed it. It switched up. See, what happened with the Lord? So let me tell you. Remember when the prophet talks about allurements? It allures you into a false sense of security. That's one of the allurements. False sense of security. I got it. And then before you know it, the current of what? Your thoughts change. And then you're not conscious that your thoughts are changing.
Which is your imagination. The prophet says something.
Well, your imagination now comes into play because it becomes akin to the thoughts that's changing. You start to see the thoughts that's changing by way of your imagination. You start to entertain yourself with thoughts that are leading you from what? From the past.
But he said they're going to rush in at 1,000 at a time.
That's right. And if something is rushing in 1,000 at a time, what does that do to you? It gets you what? Off balance.
Once you lose focus, then
And look, you got so much going on, you can't focus. I'm in this thing, man. I got so much going on. You can't focus. But can't you see that that's a tool of the Lord's self to keep you off balance?
That's what it is.
Your steadfastness, your firmness of mind.
Yes.
Got to be employed.
Yes. But how can I get firm when I'm now off balance? What can I grab onto to help me get my focus back? I'm off balance. Every time I move here, here's this, and when I move there, here's that. Now how do I get my control? How do I get my self-control back? Prayer. Sit, get still. Yes. Yes. But now I'm involved in this encounter. And now here comes another phase of the attack. See, that's just the early phase of the attack. Here comes the second phase of the attack. Something that's going to get you caught up in your feelings.
Be aware of all your appetites.
You got to more, but you got to be aware of your present concern.
Right.
What's your present concern? Stand focused. Come on, yo.
Yeah, and in these moments, because we all have them, what we're being told, some of the things that we're learning in here is, one, you got to start to, with the things that others have said already, you got to use reason.
Yes. Yes.
You got to start to reason things out.
Yes.
When they start rushing in on you, you got to be able to say, wait a minute.
Yes. Yes.
Don't try to address all of it. So
Yes.
let us know that how a man cannot attend to too many things at once.
Yes. Yes.
So you gotta be able to slow down.
Yes.
Get control of yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's where the Lord self gets you when he knows he's got you out of control.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
gain control by just stop thinking and then using your reason. Now why don't I allow this to take place?
Yes.
Why did that take place? Those
Yeah.
outside impulses,
Yes.
they're gonna come at you.
Yes.
That's what comes with when it rushes into that.
Yes.
Outside impulses that
Yes.
influences us.
Yes.
And we oftentimes get caught up in the vibration of
Yeah.
the moment.
Yes.
That distracts us from being focused.
Yes.
But it's something that allures us, get our attention.
Yes.
Even though you're trying to focus over here, you see something out the corner of that eye.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
it snatches you. It's just like even if a fire alarm goes up or ambulance or something go by, you hear it all of a sudden. Yeah, you look especially when you drive, you look and see where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we still gotta stay focused on the traffic here.
Yes. That's right.
So we practicing how to maintain control.
That's right.
Using the practical things first, which is calming yourself down. Most people have problems with accidents because they lose control by panic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The difference is stay at ease with certain things so that you can think.
Yeah.
You said you started to think yourself.
Yeah. And that's the truth, you know. But that's the truth. But one of the things too that you need, or that we can keep in mind, is that when we are bombarded with a lot of stuff, focus on one thing.
Exactly.
Learn to focus on one thing, the thing that you can handle, or the thing that you think you can handle. Give your attention there. You can't give your attention all over, because that's going to pull you. But let me get focused on one thing. If I can get focused on one thing, now I can start to get my balance in order.
Right.
Because now I can start to reason. Reason on what? That one thing.
Yeah.
It is sir. You know how easy it is to get distracted.
Yes.
Distracted.
Yes.
Because you can get distracted without effort.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it's hard to stay focused.
Yes. Yes. It's hard to stay focused if you don't practice.
That's what it is. It's practice. That's what keeps you focused.
Yeah. And you got to practice being focused. You can't take for granted that I can focus on this just because I see it now, and you think that you can hold your attention on it. But let me tell you something. If you don't practice that, anything will come along and just pull you from that, and you'll go to something else.
Yeah. So easy.
It is easy.
Yeah.
But if you don't practice, that's what makes it easy. Come on.
See, we got all this going on at one time.
Yeah.
We got to come to a point where we know we can't control it.
Okay.
Right? So we got to stop occupying things.
Yeah.
Put them in order. So we got to pick out stuff out of there.
Yeah.
And we know I can take this right here.
Yeah.
And each time you take him away,
Yeah.
you stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I think we're doing right there.
Yeah, that's what you're hearing. See, what you're saying is I got to identify. I got to identify something I can focus on.
Right.
But now remember, the minute that you start to do, the minute that you attempt to do that, you're going to be challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to be challenged to make, and the thought will come that this is more important than that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's attempting now to do what? Draw you away from that
Right.
to get you with this. See, everything is to keep you unbalanced. That's why guarding yourself at all times against it is so important. You got to learn to focus.
Right.
Come on.
I just want to add this, Brassie.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that you're limited
Right.
not to do more than one thing.
Right.
I'm going to give this compliment to our sisters
Yeah.
because they're mothers.
Yes.
And
Yes.
children,
Yes.
they have what been referred to as multitasking.
Yes.
And mothers usually have to multitask.
Yes. Yes.
Get the children up, get them ready, move them around.
Yes.
This one to do that, this one to do that. That's a practice, and some of it's in it. It's within our ability.
Yes. Yes.
And then as you practice it, it does become more commonplace
Yes.
to do more than one thing, but you're doing it within a controlled environment.
Yes.
Within your mind.
Yes. Yes.
I can control this, and this.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to go to the next thing because
Yeah.
you got to wait on that.
Yeah.
And I got at least these three that I can handle.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's it. And you practice.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, sisters, I got you, man. Sisters, one thing that I notice that they do, especially when you have children growing up,
Exactly.
they know how to prioritize.
Exactly.
No, we're going to do this. We got to do this first. See, because just think about it. You got all this coming from all over the place. If you can't prioritize it,
Yeah.
it's gonna pull you in all kinds of directions. Come on, man.
You know what I found myself when I started to get off track?
Yeah.
I got to start telling myself, remember what the prophet said. Remember the prophet's instructions. You know, try to focus on, the things that you can control. And I know that the prophet's instructions is going to get me back.
Yeah.
Back focused again.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a good method, or that's a good technique to use. But keep this in mind also. Once you lose focus, what comes into play then are the things that appeal to you. That's what keeps you from getting focused. Because the thoughts that come to you will start to ignite, inflame things in you that appeal to you. But it's along the same line of the thought that's being used to distract you. So you got to really be able to call what? Remembrance to your aid. Now I got to remember to use what the prophet said. You know? Come on.
It's not, it's just to name a few of those things we may have to attend to at once or behind each other. For instance, like family, occupation, finance, health, transportation.
Yeah.
So you have to prioritize them, and to me, health would be the number one, because without your health, you can't even attend to your family or your occupation or finance or transportation.
Okay.
I just wanted to
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Because those topics kind of rush in back to back and bombard you,
Okay.
dealing with life choices, or just traveling. When you travel, you daily travel.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Okay. Come on.
Just real fast, you know a method that I have to use for myself oftentimes when I'm having a lot of things to do, and I see that I'm maybe sitting in a certain area, I have to talk to myself.
Yeah.
Open. I just say, hold up.
Right.
Hold up.
Right.
You know, I sometimes call myself Brother Pete. Hold up, Brother Pete.
Right.
Don't do that.
Right.
Wait a minute, slow down for a minute.
Right.
You gotta talk to yourself.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. You do. That's right. That's right. Come on.
See, that reminds me of something. It said in Koran, it said variety to us is in place of flesh.
Right.
So, other than that, I feel that when I go back to unity say, the wise man feeling his imperfection,
Right.
and is humble.
Right.
So, that teaches me to be humble.
Right.
By me doing all these things rushing in 1,000 times, and when I'm humble,
Right.
then hopefully I can be able to have enough strength to labor in vain
Right.
for my own improvement.
Right.
So that I can put that toward that type of virtue with that situation come about.
Right. Right.
Feeling my imperfection, just be humble.
Right. If humbleness can always assist, but even in humbleness, you have to use moderation.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Even in being humble.
Right.
Yeah.
Chapter, I think I'm on page 47, chapter 39. It speaks a lot about what we're talking about. And I just was going through it, and I noticed that how things have changed, how things can change,
Right.
and can easily throw you off.
Right.
And that's true in my life because I'm the person that jump straight at it. Oh, you just can't say nothing to me wrong, and I don't see nothing to you about it. You understand? I like solving my problems.
Right.
You understand? I can't hold no problem, especially when I know it's disrespect. So the prophet trying to slow me down is man, think before you.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah,
yes, before you act.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what I need to look into. Right. You know, still, oh, I need to read this chapter.
You know, one of the keys that the prophet teaches us about what we're talking about, and he teaches us, and he says, and because this is very important that we have to remember, because oftentimes when we get caught up,
Right,
we neglect.
right.
We'll do-
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Come on, my dear.
Islam. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate this conversation that's happening today. I'm currently going through that where everything, yes, where everything seems like it's all into one. You gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do that.
Yeah.
It actually inspired me to want to write some stuff down and not get overwhelmed.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because I can agree that with distraction, with all this other stuff that seems like a lot,
Yeah.
it can all just seem like a lot. But from a different lens, they can all seem like, is tackable a word? Like when you're able to tackle
Yeah.
one by one, when you focus, and in Gen Z slang, it's called locking in. When you basically just get into hyper focus mode and try to really get them done and get them through. Because if you allow it to pile on,
Right.
you can start to like almost lose hope. Essentially, just be like, oh man, it's too much.
Yeah.
And you were about to say distress, but he said distracted, but it can cause distress.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
where you just, oh, I can't, and then you end up completing nothing.
Yeah. But
So
you before you attempt to explain what you're saying, and I hear you, you use a word that's very important. You can become what?
hopeless,
Overwhelmed.
overwhelmed. Yeah.
And once you become overwhelmed, your present concern is neglected.
Right.
Because I'm overwhelmed now. I'm not even thinking about where I'm at now. I'm thinking about how can I deal with all that?
And that's all outside of you.
That's all. That's my point. And that's where you at now.
Outside.
I'm outside trying to deal with stuff that's going on with me inside. I'm neglecting my present concerns.
Right.
You know? And now I'm trying to deal with all this stuff. I've got all this stuff going on with me. I got to deal with this stuff. I ain't got time for that. I got to deal with this now. You see? Now I'm out there. And we talk about it all the time. Once you escape from yourself, now you can be easily what? Influenced, and that influence can cause you to become what? Victimized. You can become a victim of who? Yourself.
You know, that was a good point she made about being overwhelmed
Yes, yes,
and stressed. And Brother Crawford Hill said
Yes.
about health.
yes.
Because I got a neighbor of mine, her mother is 85, and she takes care of her mother.
Right.
And for the last week, she's been to the hospital 3 times for high blood pressure.
Right.
And when she came home the 3rd time, I asked her, I said, what are you doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? How you gonna take care of your mother and you not taking care of yourself?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You neglecting your present concern.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she started crying. You know? Yeah, you're right.
It's not, so you know, some people just choose to give up in life
Right.
when they get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know, they throw the towel in
Yeah.
instead of trying to deal with it. And that's why I believe that Allah is not going to put on me too much I can't bear.
Yeah.
You know, if I just hang in there, I just hold on, it's going to be
So many other people don't know.
Yeah, they gotta grow.
Yeah, they got to grow, and they haven't even been introduced to it in many ways.
Yes, sir.
You know.
Mhm.
Go on, sister.
You know, I'm listening. A lot of these things that overwhelm us, that overtake take us in life, a lot of the stuff we bring upon ourselves. Sometimes our thinking think we can take on things that we really can't. And instead of us stopping to think, this is not for me at this time, leave it alone. Or maybe I can get someone to assist me. And when we overwhelm ourselves, our thinking gets distorted,
Yeah.
and we start doing things that's wacky. Sometimes we can't take on things trying to be a superhero. Take time to prioritize those things that's important, that's necessary at this time to assist you, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. Right? Stop overwhelming yourself. Sometimes we do it to ourselves, or allow someone else to do it to us. Stop and think first before you act.
Yeah, that's the truth. But you know, when we allow someone to do something to us, we're doing it to
Ourselves,
ourselves.
exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But we'll blame somebody else.
Sister T.
Islam, I was kind of going to say something similar to what Sister Danielle said, but more so it's being open to resources that may be available to you
Exactly.
to assist along the way. Maybe an individual that can help you, or the Koran that can help you. Just being open to other resources
Yeah.
to try to help you along that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. See, and the reason we're talking about these things because you can't grow spiritually until you let the things that pull you out of yourself, until you address those things.
Exactly.
Because those are the very things when Jesus, he described them as, you know, the cumbrous shackles. Those are things that bound you down. You can't address anything if I'm worried about this, that, and the other. If I'm letting all this stuff pull me out of myself, how can I grow in a way that's needed to be grown if I can't address the issues that's causing me to come out of myself?
And what you said, especially if it's worldly, you know?
If it's what?
Worldly.
Yeah,
If Jesus,
it's the
Jesus
earthly
is-
stuff that pulls us out.
right, yeah.
You know, it's the worries and the anxiety that come from us not having what we think we need to have to help us to make it through this thing. I'm worried about not having a place to stay.
Right.
And I'm so worried about it that I'm creating a condition that I don't have a place to stay. When if I can back up for a minute and start thinking in another direction, you may see something where you can have a place to stay. They got different places where you can go and apply that can give you shelter or allow you to have shelter while you regain your equilibrium. But if I'm so worried about not having a place, then I can't see a place. Because all I'm seeing is not having a place. That's all I see. I can't pay my bill. Well, you can't pay your bill because you can't see it. You're allowing yourself to see not being able to pay your bill. That's a condition that's being created by us. And I'm not stepping back long enough to say, wait a minute, it's got to be a way, another way. But as long as you see not being able to, that's what you're going to see.
That's right.
And that's what you're going to create.
So you said, no matter which way you look at it, the key to success starts and ends inside.
It does,
Yes, yes.
More, he told you. We are creators and make our own. Our own what? Heaven or hell. And we got to some type of way learn to internalize that.
Well, that's the key, man.
Yeah.
It is.
Go ahead.
And that's why we've been instructed to try to meet him.
Yeah.
See, when you talk about stepping back, well, that stepping back, or that taking that moment, it is to go in. It is to go in, because now we're trying to hear. Give me the instruction. I can't find it with how I'm doing this. You looking for, the help is within. The help comes from within. You're absolutely right, Brother James. It does begin from within. Because we're listening for the instruction. And he'll give it to you. But that's where that challenge of faith is there. That you got to hear the instruction and then act upon it just as it's given to you. Don't keep creating for yourself. We here because we created things that we couldn't manage. Now he's teaching us how to manage life on earth. You can't abandon that when there's a challenge. You got to go back to it.
See, we're trying to transition.
Exactly.
We're trying to make a transition in our work, in our thinking.
Yes.
See, we got to examine and see that the conditions that we have experienced on up to this point, the conditions that has been created, we created those conditions. And some of those conditions that we created were very unsettling. And it caused us to go through certain things. But we have to come to the acceptance that we can reverse that.
That's what he said, babe. Made can be unmade.
It can be unmade. And that means we can have better experiences. We can do better. We can experience a better way of life. Yeah, Mom. But we can't continue to think the way we used to think. And then we think that just because we pray, it's going to change. It's not going to change just because you pray. You can pray all day long, but it's the will of man that makes possible. So we got to do more than just pray. You know, you pray, but you go back to the same way. That doesn't make sense. So if the prophet is teaching us how to be conscious of what we're doing, then we can stop creating conditions that's unfavorable. But it takes what? Practice. Because we have accepted not seeing the way. So we think that the way doesn't exist. I can't see it. But that's, that's defeating our purpose. And I'm saying this stuff ain't easy. But at least you have to have the thought to attempt to do it. You got to at least try at some point in this period of our lives to try something different than what we've been doing. And not just accept that this is the way it's got to be because this is the way it is. It ain't got to be like this. It don't have to be the way it is. You can make it the way you can make it the way you will it to be.
You got to put the will in motion.
You got to, Moses.
Your actions.
And if you don't try it, how do you know you can do it? You got to be conscious of what. See, we've done it in the past and we've been unconscious creating stuff. Now we are becoming conscious.
Let's create something that the consciousness.
There's no question. What's the purpose of knowing what consciousness can do if you don't use it?
You got to trust it.
Yeah, you got to learn to trust it.
You got to learn to trust it.
If you trust this stuff that we don't have, look, anything can take place.
I trusted that when I was.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Man, look at the stuff I trusted.
Right.
For real.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I was thinking when you speak about earlier about being bombarded with thoughts. Made off balance. Right? And you had mentioned to regain your self-control. Okay. Well, Grant Shakes here said, control yourself. Right? I was thinking self. You know, like you said, you have to pull back, you gotta stop. And grab yourself, get yourself together. so you can focus.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was thinking about is we had lessons before about hold the thought.
Yeah.
That's a practice.
Yes.
We have to practice holding the thought.
Yeah.
Now, what thought are we holding?
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
we gonna practice on? And Sister McGee Ray spoke about it's good that we having this discussion.
Yeah.
You know, and she also mentioned sometimes you have to make notes to yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
as we get older, we find ourselves writing notes.
Yeah.
You know, a to-do list. I gotta get this, I gotta get that. You know, because so many thoughts are being bombarded.
Yeah.
You go in the room to get something, and then you say, "What I come in here for?"
Yeah.
You can't remember. So then you go back out, and something else that got you going this way, and just, oh, that's right. You know, so you're just going back and forth all the time. So the point I wanted to make is we have to practice.
Yeah.
Practice holding the thought.
Yeah.
Just like this discussion here. When we leave, it ain't over.
Yeah.
You got to hold this
Yeah.
because it's a lesson in it.
Yeah.
You know, you got to hold it. You got to practice holding it. And as you practice holding,
Yeah.
you get good in practice holding. You know, but the notes is good. You know, I do that a lot. You know, I have to write notes because so much coming at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace.
But the focus part is to always, like he said, note your present. Note the present. What is my concern in this present moment? What's my concern? And give attention to your present concern. But when you attempt to do it, it's gonna come.
Oh, yes.
Whereas you attend to this, that's not your present concern, neglecting your present concern to deal with this because at this particular time, this has been shown to be much more important than this. But that's the whole illusion.
Yes.
Try to remember that that's the illusion, that's the reflex that's appearing. Where does that reflex come from? Well, it comes from my mind because I'm thinking thoughts that I'm not able to control. Them thoughts are going like this, and I just grab the thought that I feel most comfortable with at the time. I'm like, why do you think there's so many car accidents?
Yeah.
They lose focus.
Yep. Yeah, right.
Just for a moment. And now they have created devices which cause you to lose focus because you give your attention to the device that you're holding in your hand and holding a conversation with. It's a distraction.
Yeah.
So you got to maintain your focus on your present concern. I'm driving a car. I don't need to be talking on the phone. I'm driving a car.
Oh, what
And we gotta know that about yourself.
Huh?
We gotta learn that about ourselves.
Yeah.
Know our limits.
Yeah.
I don't do well when I'm trying to talk
On the phone that I'm driving
Let
the
me
car.
put this phone down so I can focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah. And then look here. Look at the setup. I'm on the phone. I get in a conversation. The light is turned green. People now starting to blow. Now I'm getting upset. I'm getting upset.
Right.
And then some people that lack self-control, they give a finger.
Oh, go by.
I mean, they do. I mean, and then now I might want to respond to that. Who they think they? So now, look, Mo, that's what I'm saying. And all that because I lost what? Focus.
One event pushes
Onto another. They rush in 1,000 at a time. So we gotta practice staying focused on the present moment. Come on.
When I think about the Holy Koran, more scientific, man, we are considered so far back. I think you said at one time that we have a lot to catch up on when it comes down to this here. Because we so far back and so far off course, we can't identify ourselves. We being told what we think we know who we are. But no one stood up in the public or nowhere
except for the Moors, bro, that know what identity means. And I'm just saying it's a shame because I'm talking about myself too. That's how I throw it off. I am. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get back. I'm trying. But we throw it off, Mo.
Mo, look. You just said something. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back.
I'm trying.
You said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back. So what have you given life to? Doubt. You just fed doubt.
Okay, we got that.
His own race.
He's saying that. I'm saying I'm not going to get caught up in that. I'm saying I'm going to make it back.
But the prophet showed us how to
He's showing us how to make it back. If I don't think I can make it back, then what is the good of this?
Right, that's right, Mo. That's right.
What's the good of this? What's the good of me coming to Sunday school? What's the good of me reading? What's the good of me getting into conversations? What good is it?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to get back.
That's why we got the divine instruction.
Come on, Mo.
Instruction.
He's changing the way we think.
Blueprint to get back.
And not only that, we're not as far back as we were.
No question.
I don't let nobody tell me.
No.
That's weird. No.
Yeah.
I'm proud here of where
I was. Yes. But that's how I know we can get back. But that's how I know we can get back.
Right. Yeah, we got to straighten those thoughts up.
Yeah.
Plant those seeds in here that our people don't have hope.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're seeking hope.
Yeah.
So we got to keep lighting that torch.
Yes.
Making sure that we are marching for that noble life.
Yes.
In that chapter we've been talking about inconstancy, where he said his name is resolution.
Yes.
And he sees beyond the limit of the post.
Yes.
One who say that we still, they ain't even looking beyond the limit of the post.
Yes.
That don't mean they ain't gonna get there.
Yes.
They don't see it right now.
But they gotta see it
They have to.
in degrees,
Yes.
like us.
That's right.
We're not like we were.
That's right, Mo.
I don't talk like I used to talk.
Right now.
I don't express myself the way I used to express myself. I have a concern of my demeanor now.
And the things we do.
Yeah.
We know what some of that stuff we used to do. We
Yeah.
don't do that no more.
No, we don't do that no more.
That's right. Right.
Nobody tell me that.
Yeah.
I got to stand up for this one. I thought my conditions would be better.
That's right.
And upon joining this movement, this divine organization, my condition is better.
That's right.
I'm not where I used to be.
That's right.
10, 15 years ago.
That's right. That's right. That's right. None of us are that's been practicing.
That's right. Yes.
Brother C, Jack, you gotta be practicing something, you hear almost every Sunday. Come on, right? So that's something good. You doing something good, right?
And that's true.
You doing something
I
good.
know me.
You doing something good.
Right. I'm learning.
Yeah, that's right.
That don't mean I'm changing.
You all right.
Right.
Come on, bro. Punch back.
It's no more. I heard you say, the challenges,
Yeah.
I mean, my vision,
Yeah.
the challenges are more greater.
Yeah.
But when you say the will, if there's a will,
There's a way.
there's a way.
That's right.
Let everybody know that on the dollar bills, except the $1 bill, it's a corner on every bill. It's St. Large, right? So they pay vision and see the money.
Oh, yeah.
Every corner, one corner, is large for us, so we can see. I want to share that.
And they say one more
It's a
thing.
learning process as you go.
Yeah.
But you have to have that will, and that strength.
That's right. That's right.
You gotta show me that corner.
And that bill, that bill also saying, God, we trust.
Yeah.
That's what you need to be doing. All of us.
So the whole purpose of the discussion is to encourage and inspire us to use that understanding that you have been blessed with when it comes to the instruction.
Right.
Everybody. who reads the Holy Koran, I'm confined to the Koran, they have a gift of understanding.
Yes, they do.
Don't try to compare yours with someone else's. Be content with the good that is within your reach.
No, no,
Take what you understand
no.
and build on it.
Yes.
But that takes two, what? Practice.
Right.
But don't defeat yourself by saying, I'm not, I can't, I won't, or whatever. Whenever that, what is it called? That rises that we call into, what do we cause to come up? What is that part that's a part of us that we cause to prevent us from moving forward? It's that is of our own raising. Doubt. Don't let doubt set in and find a place where it prevents you from trying. Because doubt will stop you or stop you from exercising your what? Your will. And without the will, it's not possible. You're seeking after an impossibility without the will. Because it's the will that makes possible the action of the Holy Grail. You understand? So you got to make sure that you exercise your willpower.
Yes.
You got to be submissive. You got to be submissive for what?
Yeah, but how many people sit here and say that they're...
Why are you worried about the people?
No, well, how do you feel that people you talking to, us,
I'm talking to me.
saying, okay, well, you a saint, are you a saint?
No, a saint.
Okay,
Man, I'm trying to be a good person,
yeah, good person.
let alone a saint.
But don't come in here and say what you're not gonna do.
Oh, you can say that.
Oh, you can't.
Yeah, I can say I'm not going to respond to you in a certain way that's going to cause a certain disturbance in the class because I think that you're out of order. I'm not going to respond to that. I'm not going to respond to that. So what am I doing? I'm saying I'm not going to respond to that. So if I can say I'm not going to respond to that, then I can say I'm not going to respond to this.
That's right.
That's called having control.
That's control.
That's what we're learning.
That's what we're being taught, Mo.
That's right.
Mo, that's what we're being taught.
I can say I'm not coming from Hicks.
No,
Say that.
I can say this, I'm not going to walk out there, stand in the street and get hit by a car.
That's right.
I can say that. Now, if I can say I'm not going to do that, why can't I say I'm not going to do that?
Right. Right.
All I got to do is put my not and associate my not with my will. I will not.
That's right.
I mean, it ain't no rocket science. I will not do that.
That's right.
Come on.
I was thinking about, when I mentioned earlier about Sister McGee, baby, and the notes.
Yeah.
My thought on that was, write it down.
Yeah.
So you won't lose your focus. Even if you get distracted, you always got that thought.
Yes.
That thought, it's a thought, it's written down.
Yeah.
And you keep that. It's the same thing with our literature.
Yes.
Prophecy, I brought you everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourself.
Yeah.
This is written down.
Yeah.
Even if you get distracted, it's always there.
That's right.
You just have to know to use it.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am.
Islam, I think also by keeping a positive attitude
Yes.
and uplifting thoughts and also aiding growth in the process of everything in life.
Yes.
Praise God.
Yes. Because look, I will do this.
Yes.
I will do this. What are you going to do? I will do that.
Right.
See, it's just like you say I will not.
Mm-hmm.
You say I will. What do you utilize? Your will.
Yeah. And inside of that is hope.
Yeah.
You know, you put hope and love.
Yeah.
Do it. Hope and love behind the talk.
Yeah.
That's right.
We told him.
Yeah.
It's not about a job. It's about being healed and putting the things made
Yeah.
manifest. But it's all it. And you put hope and love behind it.
Heal. Look. What I'm learning, we don't realize how many obstacles we put in our way
Yes.
by not using our will.
It's, you had, once always stated that, whatever condition we find ourselves in,
Yeah.
we can always do better.
Yeah, we can. We can. Regardless of how the condition that we have created. We are creators now. We created that condition. Now, if I created that condition, why can't I better that condition?
Right.
If I created the condition, why can't I do better? But you must say, I will do better.
That's right.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can do certain things, and there's certain things I can't.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's
But
as
you
simple
must-
as that. Yeah.
But now remember, there are things that you accept you can do.
Right.
There are things that you accept that you can't do. But anything can be done if you will.
That's right.
You may not be, exactly. I may not be a carpenter. I may not know one thing about carpentry. But if I will myself, I can learn about it.
that's it. Yeah.
And then I can do something.
That's right.
But it's all dependent upon what? Your will.
That's right.
Come on.
I know one thing I got to keep telling myself. I'm not going to turn around.
Yeah.
I'm not going back into mental slavery. I'm not going to be no Negro, black, and colored no more. See what I'm saying? I'm not going to think like that no more. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then here comes the upper part of the equation. You must disassociate yourself from those things that can ignite that way of thinking. That means people, person, people, places, and things.
Right.
You got to cut yourself off. See, and that means sometimes you got to cut off people
Right.
that you close with.
That's right.
Sometimes
Right.
it's family.
Right.
Because I can't afford to continue to be in that type of environment, because then I'll start to receive the nourishment that comes from that way of thinking. You know what I mean?
And see, you see how that joke, I call him Joker, right? Lord stuff. You see how he tried to do? He tried to come up in here and cause confusion. You know what I'm saying? But look, it's died down now. It's all right. You see what I'm saying? Yeah,
But that's only if you're wise.
yeah, that's right.
Because the wise man takes a disadvantage and does what? So that means he has to be thinking that way. You understand?
Yes.
In other words, we're learning how to think. See, but it's easy to forget. Or it's easy to fail to recall. Because you can go outside and you can enter into a condition that'll alter your way of thinking. That will contribute to your altering your way of thinking. If you're not informed.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
You can go out there, something can take place and you'll forget that you was in Sunday school.
Good.
Come on.
You know, you used the word earlier, comfortability.
Yes.
We get comfortable
Yes.
because there was a time when we was conditioned for people to think for us.
Yeah.
Prophet say, I came to start you to thinking for yourself.
That's what he said. That's
So
right.
we get comfortable,
That's right.
then we stop thinking
That's right.
and rely on somebody else to think for us.
That's right. That's right. But this is what we do. We allow the influence of someone else's thought to influence our thoughts.
Yes.
Not thinking that it's their thought, not mine.
Yes.
But I've accepted that way of thinking. So I thought, I'm thinking that I was thinking like that the whole time. But you know what I mean? That's easy to get caught up in that way of thinking. And you can do it so often that it becomes a way of life.
Yeah. See, I just gotta say one more thing. And I'm vexed because I love all y'all. I got so much imperfection. So I'm just gotta go right back to it. He said the wise man feeling his own imperfection in his tongue. He labor and blame for his own approbation. While the fool peepers in the shadow stream in his own mind and pleased with the pebbles that he seed in the bottom. We bring him up and show him as further with the applause of his brother, the light himself. That's all we got to do, beware of that. Be all right.
And I can see why you needed to say that too. I'm glad that you're able to read, and that's comes from being what? Focused.
Yeah. Focus on what
He was focused, so he's able to do what? Remember. And by remembering, what did he do? Call it to his aid. You got to do it. And ask Allah to help me to understand what I'm doing. Because I need to see myself doing it so that I can identify what the result of me doing it is. And once I see the result, now I can have something to stand on. Oh, when I respond like this, that takes place.
Yeah, we gotta watch what we're breathing.
Yes. Come on here.
Islam, and also I'm learning like when you saying about taking instructions from within.
Yeah.
The insufficient of knowledge says the tender of hearts turn from its purpose by supplication.
Yeah.
The proud is rendered more obstinate by truth.
Yes.
Since of thine insufficiency command thee to hear,
Yes.
but to be just, thou must hear without thy past.
That's right.
And sometimes like we call on the law and want information from that still small voice, but you can't be too soft, you can't be too boastful and arrogant because we weak and ignorant. So when that voice comes to me, it's like you have to be, in order for you to be just, you got to learn how to hear without getting emotional. And that's one of the most important things that I'm learning now is hearing without getting emotional, because that's what get us in trouble all the time. Either I can't take it, or I'm too arrogant, I don't want to hear it. And that's the thing that, what I'm learning that in life is to stop allowing my emotions to dictate my reasonable thinking.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth, Bill. And let me tell you something else. That's why you gotta be so careful when you say, I don't like so-and-so. You got to be so careful, because remember last week we said so-and-so has a higher self too. And the higher self is in man. And the higher self is Allah in man. So the minute you say, I don't like a person, you're going to reject what they have to say. You're going to say, I ain't trying to hear that come from you. But suppose that's not them. Suppose that ain't them that's responding. Suppose that's Allah using them to respond. Now, I'm so caught up, I'm not even hearing Allah. So now what am I subject to do? I'm subject to breathe something. It ain't but two things in all the world. And if I'm not hearing Allah, that means I'm starting to breathe hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. Come on, sister.
So with the emotion, right? Because I know that there is. Okay. What I'm gonna say? Okay, so isn't there a benefit to having emotions when it comes to having a conversation sometimes?
Yes, but remember, you must draw a circle.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be able to control your emotions.
And I agree with that, because I was gonna say, like, if Jesus wasn't there meditating at that spring, and he didn't see those toilers, and his heart wasn't stirred with pity, and that conversation and that lesson that we had wouldn't have taken place.
Right.
And I feel like certain emotions are beneficial to certain conversations taking place. like having the ability to empathize with someone
Right,
and seeing yourself in in someone's shoes
right,
versus
Right.
maybe shutting off your emotions and trying
Right.
to come from a logical perspective. You may miss the
the boat.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, I agree with the emotions. There being like not letting it overtake
right,
you,
right.
but I also see the benefit of having those emotions at the time when they're needed.
Right, right, right. See, there's nothing wrong with emotion,
Yeah.
but emotions must, just like everything else, it must be kept in a certain context.
Right.
It must be controlled emotion. Because once you become emotional and you lack control, you've lost self.
You're restrained.
Yeah, you now I have no restraint. See, yeah, I've become emotional. If I become so emotional that I fail to utilize my reason, now that emotion turns into something else. But if I'm using my reason with emotion, and I'm keeping it within the bounds of moderation, I can express it in a way that's not what? Hurtful. That's not hurtful, and that's not what? Harmful, and that's not what? And it does not aggravate a situation that can become out of control.
And babe,
Yeah.
you said in the bounds of moderation.
Yes.
And in the bounds of righteousness.
Yes. Yes.
Righteousness is
Yes.
the difference.
Yes.
When we're
Yes.
dealing with putting that circle around us.
That's right. That's
The
right.
emotion is rooted in righteousness, which is of the higher self.
That's right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that with the sister. Yeah, the emotions have to be within the bounds of righteousness,
Yes.
which is rooted in what the higher self believes
Yes. Yes.
versus what the lower self believes.
Yes. 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 See, it's good. It's good that you all, you know, it's good that you all are talking about these things so that they can become tangible.
Yeah.
You have to be able to see how it affects you in your everyday life. You've got to be able to talk about it. See, once you can bring it out and express it from within, you can talk about it. You can see it more clear. And the whole thing about life that you'll learn about life is once you start to see certain things, you can prevent certain things. And you can find out that, you know, I've had a very good 7-day week. Because in that 7 days, I have done what? Created a condition to experience doing that creation. So what am I doing now? I'm creating my creation.
Right.
In a 7-day span.
Be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's and I'm gonna go back to that one word earlier we talked about was practice. Right? That's why it's so important to practice these lessons, to practice your will, you know, it helps your will to become stronger.
Yeah.
Because the practice makes it a part and parcel of everyday life, your thinking, your acts, your actions, everything. We got to keep practicing. Don't come in here one day, you hear this, and go out there and think you got it. You got to keep practicing every day, all day long. It just has to become a part of you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's useless.
That's right.
Because you're not using it like you should.
That's right. That's right. Look, chapter 26, Holy Instructions of Unity. We're going to start at instruction 3. So hold this in mind so that when we allow lessons, when we come back next Sunday, hopefully we'll be able to discuss these first 3 instructions. It gives us the understanding of the treasures of Allah. And he appointed to everyone his portion in what measure seemeth good unto himself. I know we've talked about that, but think about it anyway, because that helps you to put those things in alignment that will help us to see what he's saying. Hath he endowed thee with wisdom? Hath he enlightened thy mind with the knowledge of truth? Communicate it to the ignorant for their instruction. Communicate it to the wise for thine own improvement. True wisdom is less presuming than folly. The wise man doubteth often, and changes his mind. The fool is obstinate, and doubteth not. He knoweth all things but his own ignorance. Focus on those things and see what direction we're going. Look, well, I'm gonna say this to you too. Listen, when I come here and we get into these discussions, I want you to understand something. I'm trying this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? That's the purpose that, so when I be putting this stuff out like this, it's not that I'm so much more intelligent than any of them, but I'm trying. And I'm finding out when you try it, certain things are shown to you. And that helps to enhance the conversation.
Yeah.
But you can't, if you're not trying, and I'm not saying you're trying the same thing I'm trying, or I'm trying the same thing you're trying, but I'm trying something pertaining in this book,
Right.
which enables you to see other things.
It does.
But if you're not trying it, this stuff is foreign to you. Because I can't see it.
Right.
It has no meaning to me. I can't see it. You've got to try it.
You do, right? And can I add this?
Yeah, Mom.
We have to become the guiders of the nation. That's what he says come out of it.
Yes. Yes.
And you're going to have to try it in order to become a guide.
Yes.
And that don't come with a title. It comes with how you are thinking,
Right.
how you are practicing each thing.
That's right.
Nobody
That's right.
above anybody else, but we do have a protocol.
Yes.
And leadership is supposed to be leadership. We got to honor that.
Amen.
Law. When she moderated the more scientific incorporated. So growing up listening, sent to the Koran classes today. Figure everybody got something to utilize throughout their life, for this week or this day, throughout your life. Be alone. Margaret said, gave us three divine instructions. We get through three divine instructions and go further. When you come back here, bring something with you. Let us hear your thoughts. All I bless you with. Praise God. This time I'll call Granny, she can moderate. Excuse me. I'll call the chairman. More Scientific America was also the branch she here, 1071, to read out round one.
Islam?
Islam.
Again, I give praise to Allah, the great God of the universe, and honor to the prophet, honor to each and every one of you. Friday, January 15th, 1929, Prophet warns all Muslims the government's order to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical, agitating speeches about work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards and your opinions. It causes confusion. Remember, your cards for your salvation. Failing to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, and freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Muslims will and must obey the law, as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn their card but he ceased wearing their turban or fez and returned to the state where I, the prophet, found him. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet that will draw in. If the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine faith to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem the people from their sins and order the prophet. Peace. Islam.
I'd like to take out the national chair. It's also trying to get read now the final one. Megan is out of Sunday school because of the Koran class. This kind of
Allah the Father universe,
Allah the Father universe,
Father love,
Father love,
truth,
peace,
freedom, and justice.
Allah
is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide, and my salvation, by night, and by day, through his holy prophet,
through
Ali.
Ali.
Amen.
Amen.